Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. I have with me here today Manmoth.
Hello.
He's a good friend of mine, and we're gonna play some 960 today. We're not gonna play this for the sake of winning or losing. Well, we are, but
Yes.
uh, basically what we're gonna do, we're gonna try to talk about our moves in a couple of 960 games and what we're thinking while we are playing the moves out. So I'm challenging Manmoth right now, and he will accept,
Yes.
of course. Otherwise,
Maybe.
this video would be pointless.
Yes. So if I decline, the video will end.
Probably. Maybe I won't even
Okay.
put it out there. All right.
I'm white.
So
Knights in the corner.
the setup for 960
Wow.
is that you get pieces randomly placed on the starting position, or the first and eighth rank. So he played the move c2 to c4, opening up for his light squared bishop, and I might do the same, opening up for my dark squared bishop here, and also trying to get some line, just getting lines open for your pieces so that your pieces can become as effective as possible.
Now my biggest problem is which knight should I develop and to where.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe knight c3, but you're not threatening d5 or b5 yet, so maybe this makes more sense.
Yeah. So now if I play knight to c6, he's going to take on c5 probably. And then my b7 pawn is also hanging. But I'm going to play a move that in normal chess you would never play as a second move, probably. And that move is f6. The reason for that move is I want my bishop on g6 or h5 square. Probably g6. Maybe even f7.
I was thinking f7.
And just
Maybe
getting
not.
my pieces more active and getting them ready for the big fight.
Here's the funny thing about 960 is that you can actually do this.
Agreed. So Manmoth just castled, and since the king and the rook is standing like the two, they basically just switch places. And if you were to castle queenside here, which in this case is over here, because the queen is actually on h8 now. But if you were to do that, then your king would jump all the way to the c file, and your rook on the c file would jump to the d file. Kind of strange, but it's
so the setup will be exactly as in normal chess, basically.
Yeah. So now I'm going to play knight to b6 myself.
Yeah, that is annoying because I want to play knight c3, but then I hang my c4 pawn.
Yeah, so the same thing applies to his move, since we have copied each other's moves for those particular pieces, the pawns and the knights.
I want to develop my knight to c3, so I just defended my pawn on c4.
Yeah.
Now this makes sense. Now I'm wondering if d5 is a good move for black.
That's what I'm considering. That's why I pushed my... Yeah, I didn't say that, but that's what my main idea was. Because now I can't really target the c4 pawn anymore, so I want to push. But is it a good move? Because after I play this and he takes back, I have one attacker to short because he can attack my c pawn as well. Like, I need a defender on my c pawn before.
That's a good point.
Going
I didn't
ahead
see
with
that. So I might be winning the c pawn in the end.
Yes.
Maybe if there's no tactics. Like
So
the
I
a2
am
pawn is
going
also
to
hanging
castle,
at the end
first of
there.
all.
So you could have gone d5 because the a2 pawn would have been hanging at the end, but I don't know which pawn. I think the c5 pawn is more important than the a2 pawn, maybe. I don't know.
Now I feel like the c5 pawn is restricting your b3 knight quite decently, at least. And now Manmoth is stopping me from ever playing d5. At least I have to prepare it with e6 first. Or I can give away the pawn, obviously.
Also, I'm developing my light squared bishop.
Yeah. So I'm going to play h5. stopping his light squared bishop from getting into g4, and also getting my queen ready to get into the game.
Now, I'm looking at f4. And bishop d2 is also a move.
Yeah.
Also knight d2 to f3 might be an idea, but the big problem is my queen. And I don't want to play g3 because then h4 is kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So we are playing blitz after all.
Yes, we are. And I really have some issues with my dark squared bishop here. So I'm going to play e6.
I think I have a way of winning a pawn here, but it's really greedy. I can play knight a5, and I think the only way you can defend the pawn on b7 is knight a5. Okay. I think the only way you can defend your pawn is by playing rook c7, then I have knight b5. I'm not sure. It might be really greedy to go after that pawn. But
I'm going to go ahead and play d5.
Yeah. Following a very good principle, if you're attacked on the wing, you should counter attack in the center. So yeah, this was a bit of a waste.
Now my c-pawn isn't under attack from both the knight and the rook, so it's defended enough now.
El position very sharp, yes?
Yeah.
Whoa. Also time.
Yeah, so we're going to have to worry about our time now. And basically what that means is we're not going to be able to talk too much. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to invade. No.
Truth. In case.
Oh. I don't like my position.
I don't like my position either.
I think my queen needs to play.
Now I fell for a common trap.
Yes. Time to open up the game. Okay, so this is a bit risky. Somewhat risky. So is there a perpetual? No.
I don't think it is. I think you have a mate, actually.
Yes.
Alright.
So
should we play a little bit longer game?
Yeah, I agree.
That was a bit too... Like, that got way more stressing in the end than I had anticipated. Alright.
It was very instructional the first 2 minutes, and then just blitz.
Exactly. Alright, I'm gonna go for a 15-10, even though we're not probably gonna use that much time. That's probably way too much. Alright.
What's up with the knights in the corner?
Yeah, I feel like we always get one knight, at least one knight in one of the corners every single time we play 960. But I'm gonna play a3. Really unusual move, but my point is I want my bishop on a2. Yeah. Attacking the f7 square. At least as influencing the center. You can almost call it a fianchetto, even though it's not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play
play
D4.
classical. Just take space in the center. D4 is too interesting.
So just
I
challenging
just want
the
to
center.
take, but I have a feeling you get a really strong attack if I take. Because I have no way of winning a tempo on the rook.
Exactly. So if he takes, I take back, and none of the knights are able to attack my rook immediately. So I'm going to take that pawn.
Yeah, so my idea here is that I stop the move b4 because your knight is hanging.
Yeah. And my idea with taking the pawn instead of just leaving it be is that I get a free tempo move with my knight here.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't see that move.
Oh, really?
That's really strange.
What Manmoth could do now, though, okay, he played queen to h5, targeting the h2 pawn probably, so that if I manage to lose this knight on f3 and castle kingside, then I would be checkmated. Because
yeah, I'm just staying there with my queen.
Yeah.
Just
another idea
out.
would probably be to bring your queen over to, or down to e6, just stopping me from playing bishop a2. So I'm going to do that right now before he changes his mind.
Yes, now I have a few options, but I don't like d5. You might have c4, exploiting the pin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna castle.
Castling. Castling is usually good, but it's not. I feel like in 960, it's not as necessary in many cases to castle as early as in regular chess, because of the alignment of your pieces. Maybe that's just me. So I feel like I can put some pressure on his position now by playing bishop to g5.
Yep.
Pinning the knight to the rook, and also if he doesn't do
move
anything about it, he's going to have doubled f-pawns.
Really don't want to play queen g6.
No.
I just want to play d5. But
exactly.
That might lose the pawn, so very precarious position.
Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to play h4, attack, and my plan is to go h5 immediately afterwards if he doesn't play h5 himself.
Yes, I'm in some trouble. Okay, I'm gonna do something a bit strange.
So even though he attacked my bishop, I can stop him from taking my bishop by pushing h5 immediately first. Now I might have a bit of a problem, because if I just move my bishop away, he will take my h5 pawn. So I might have to just give away my bishop for the knight in this case. So that's something you really need to be careful about if you don't want to lose your bishop or your pawn. So is it good for me to bring my bishop all the way back, let's say to e3, and let him actually capture on h5 and open things up for my rook on the h file towards his king? I feel like that probably is better than giving the bishop away for the knight, because this dark squared bishop is really aiming for your pawns here. So I'm going to do that.
So I think you missed a pretty good move there. With
I did.
e4.
g4.
e4. So
yeah, I didn't even consider that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was looking at the really interesting variation with e4, then queen b5 check, and c4, queen takes b2, and then bishop takes f3. No, f6.
Yeah, and pawn captures.
Yeah.
Or queen captures a2.
Yeah, I was thinking queen takes a2 there and sack the exchange. So e4, But he's fun.
So he doesn't really want to take on h5.
No.
And for now, that is probably a good sign for us, because then he's definitely thinking about me attacking him, and he really doesn't want that.
I don't want to open the h file for your rook.
Even though there is a pawn securely placed on h6, I can easily sack there if the pieces for black is way over on the queen side here. But as soon as I try to castle kingside, then this problem might become a weakness, a really big weakness in my position as well. So I'm just gonna chase your queen some more.
Yes. I'm trying to not end up with the queen on h8.
So what he's saying is he doesn't want to play queen back to h7, and after my bishop comes to b1, he has to play either g6 or queen h8. Or bishop to f5, giving away his bishop. That would
g6 you take and take on h6. So.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. So h8 is preferable. Okay, now I'm gonna go bishop b1 again. Seems really strange to actually give, like make another move with this bishop, but for now there's nothing on this diagonal for my bishop here.
So out of the first 12 moves, I made 5 queen moves. No, 6. 1, 2, 3. No, 5. I don't like you getting into my dark squares over here.
No, probably not. So yeah, Manmoth defended that pretty well. As you saw by my arrow, I wanted to go to c5 with my knight. So now I think that I should be able to play bishop f5 and just get more activity. Even more activitas.
Activitatos.
One problem though might be if I play queen to d2, which I intended before playing bishop f5, like after this move, queen to d2. But the problem with that might be that he takes on f5 and I take back with my knight, and then knight to e4.
Also just c5.
Yeah, or knight c4.
So queen to 2 c5 is actually... Oh, then you have knight b5. Forget it.
So what should a man play here? When a man plays his chess. Okay. I feel like I'm gonna have to take there.
Yep. Actually considering knight takes. Actually, I'm not.
Knight takes, I believe, would be counterintuitive due to knight to c4. So, since you have knight to c4 anyways, I'm going to play knight to d2. Then trying to play maybe a4 in the long run, or bring my rook over to protect the a3 pawn, and then bring my pawn to b3.
Also, the reason I took with the queen is to cover the f5 square, so knight f5 isn't a problem.
So if my knight were able to get to the f5 square, we might have seen some sacks on g7 or h6. So I'm going to bring my knight to f3 maybe. Maybe,
baby.
The problem with that is knight to c4.
And bishop c1.
I'm going to bring my rook to b1. Trying to get my queen out this way.
So I can take on e3, which looks very tempting.
I agree.
But
so giving up the exchange, but since my king isn't castled here, and since I can't castle queenside, and since my h-pawn is so much up the board, it should be really, really well considered to sack there, because
I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah, because that you
fun.
have.
I'm just gonna play this move. I was looking at knight g4, then I saw queen h4. No, that's not possible. Then I take with check. Yeah, maybe knight g4 was just really good.
Whoa. Okay. I didn't actually.
Was that a mouse flip?
I had marked my queen, and I was just looking over f2 or h4, and I just clicked on f2. But all right, no problem.
But I can play rook e7, queen e1, and rook e8.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just repairing.
So, if I play queen to f2, that was my my concern, is knight to g4.
Yeah.
So then he wins his this e3 pawn with nothing for me. But there's really not much that I can do to prevent that anyways. So I think I'm going to play knight to f3 here.
So main moves are knight g4 and knight c4.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones I'm considering. The mark of a weak player, only considering 2 moves.
I feel like knight to c4 probably is stronger, because you get an inactive piece more active.
Yeah, maybe. But it might be concretely better to play knight g4.
Also, queen g4 is quite interesting.
Also, just take on e3.
Yeah, taking on e3 is also definitely a possibility.
I have like 4
that pawn will be
moves.
so weak for the rest of the game. There's no rush in taking that pawn, I feel like.
So I have like 4 candidate moves that I'm looking at. Knight g4, knight c4, rook takes e3, and then I looked at your move, queen g4, but then
knight or queen to g4?
Knight to g4.
Knight g4.
If queen g4, I think queen h5 just solves that. No, queen h4 just stops everything.
Yeah, I was more considering rook h4 in that case. But yeah. So what were you saying?
I actually like this move.
Yeah, knight c4. I agree.
So it might look strange that I just sacked the exchange on e3, but it's really, I don't think it's a bad move.
No, not at all.
It's justified because of the king position and the weak pawns that you get.
Now I feel like I have to drop back with my knight just to not let him take there with his knight immediately at least. But now he has knight to g4, obviously.
Yeah. Problem with knight g4 is that it trades pieces, and I don't really want to trade that much. But I think I have an even better move. Maybe.
Rook captures e3?
No. Oh, wait. That's actually interesting.
It is.
So I was looking at knight g4 and then like queen c1. And if I take on e3, then you just trade many times. Or I do have bishop f4 there. But I actually like knight e4.
You like knight e4?
Yeah.
Okay. The reasoning for that is knight to g3 check. And also maybe bishop to g3.
Bishop g3 was my thinking. So if Knight e4, b3, then bishop g3, and my knights are gonna create some problems. Also queen g4 coming. I'm gonna go for this. Just play positional.
I like it. I like it very much. So by his last move, he suggests that he is going to get some really nice activity for that rook. Sack, exchange sack. So I'm gonna have to play rook to h3 and hope that if he supports the g3 square once more, I can sack back, because his pieces are overwhelming right now.
So queen g4 is the move, queen f5 is the move. Even rook e6. No, then you go knight d4. Maybe I should play c5, but that seems very slow. What happens if... Oh, rook a6, knight c to d5. Then I take on e6, so you have to play knight f to d5. Then I can check. And you block with the rook. I'm just gonna throw this queen in there.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna play b3, trying to kick that knight on c4 away. I don't have much of a choice, really.
Question is, do I have to move it?
Great question. Can you play something else? So if he plays, for instance, bishop g3, and if I capture back with my rook, the knight captures comes with a check, so I obviously have to move my king, and then he can move his knight.
Yeah, that was my plan. But you might not have to capture with your rook.
That's the problem. Or might be a problem.
I'm gonna go for it. I don't see anything else.
Yeah.
So I'm basically all in.
All in.
Yeah.
Okay. So here I feel like I can actually think about sacking the queen for the two minor pieces here. I'm not saying I will, but if I take the knight and you take the queen, then I can take back with my knight on e1, or the rook on e1.
So the knight takes d3 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Then I would have two rooks and two knights versus a queen and a knight and a rook. So it still would be pretty bad for me. But that's something you really should consider in these really sharp positions.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like that's the way to go here.
Also, your pawns are really weak.
Exactly.
In that variation.
And my rooks doesn't have a lot of room.
My queen is just gonna have a field day.
Yeah. So other things to consider is queen to d1 or queen to c1. Queen c1 seems more appealing, at least, because it defends e3 twice and gets away from any forks on e3 if my queen were on d1 instead. So I'm going to go queen to c1. I'm going to take it from there. Also, knight to f2 was a possibility if I played queen to d1.
Yeah.
But then I could have actually taken on g3, right?
I'm wondering if I can just take on c3. And you take my knight, and I do something.
So he's saying that he can take on c3, I take his knight, and then he might not want to take on b1 even though that might be the best.
I feel like I'm losing the 2 best pieces on the board for a rook on b1.
Exactly. The rook on b1 isn't doing anything at the moment. And this knight on c2 is actually doing a pretty good job of defending everything, holding everything together here.
So maybe the attack has stopped. If there ever was an attack.
Good question. So I feel like if you could get your pawn up to, let's say, f4 and just trying to attack.
No. If I can magically put my rook on f2 and play check, then I would be doing great.
Exactly.
Ish.
That would be perfect, right?
Very annoying. Okay, so what about knight c to e5, knight takes, rook takes, and knight d4?
The problem is still, though, that this knight on f3 is kind of a main defender of the king. So trading that away might be really, really bad for me. Because then the rook can come to e6 and f6 and all sorts of things is going to happen.
I don't know what to do here.
Take your time. You have plenty of it. Oh, not plenty actually.
Wait. Looking at knight d2 check. Knight takes e3 check, knight takes, rook takes.
And queen f5 in the end.
Yep. Problem is you're gonna take on g3. So that's a bit of a long variation. Knight c to d2 check. No, knight e to d2 check. Knight takes e3 check, knight takes e3, rook takes e3, threatening queen f5. Then you might have rook takes g3, queen takes g3, and then let's say king g1, and I have nothing.
And that's all because of my e2 pawn, actually, that I don't have much there, I feel like.
I feel like I had to go back.
Yeah. So
I don't know how to evaluate this position, because I feel like all my pieces are great and all your pieces are defending, so we might just play king g1, king h8, king f1, king g8. And
yeah, no, this is really really tough for both of us. No question about it.
You do have the d4 square, but then you sort of lose. You give away something by occupying that square.
Like, if I place a knight on d4, you can easily kick that away, first of all. And secondly, I don't have anywhere else to go to than the squares they came from.
That's true. I didn't even see that.
Let's say knight f2, d4, a6, and then, I don't know.
No, c5, you mean?
No, c5, then I have... Oh, I don't have b5. Yeah, really,
no.
Yeah. I was thinking that you had to play a6 first, but yeah, your knight is defending b5 as well. So I'm going to play a4. Deduction.
Okay. So I'm thinking I can play rook e6 to f6. But I don't know how to break through there. I feel like there has to be a pawn break.
Yeah.
So f5, f4, just to open the e file. Then it doesn't make... That actually looks pretty strong. So maybe also just move my bishop somewhere. I don't know where. Oh shit! No, wait.
What?
No, nothing. was just a brief second of hallucination. I was looking at f5, rook h4, trapping my queen, but I can just take it.
Yeah, so the bishop is defending h4, guys. So
yeah,
he had
bishops
a
move
bit of a brain
backwards.
fart there.
Yep. Rook e6, queen a3 or queen b2. Rook f6, threatening nothing.
Something
Yeah,
you could
threatening
also
knight
consider
d2
though is
check.
rook e6, knight to e8, knight f6, and trying to get to the h5
Wait,
pawn.
what? Oh, that's takes a bit of time. No.
And I don't have much to do myself. Remember that.
Yeah, queen a3 and rook d1
Yeah.
stuff.
Stuff.
Or queen b2. Also, I can just take on c3. What am I waiting for?
Yeah.
That sort of frees your position, maybe. But I sort of feel like I have to do that.
Mm-hmm. Then I'm gonna play knight to d4, giving
There I
away
was just
both
gonna
my
go
rook
back.
and 2 pawns. No, not both my rooks, but my rook and 2 pawns.
I'm gonna take this.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good choice. And now rook captures e3.
Take this.
And now my position probably collapses big time.
I don't think I played this too well.
So I'm considering rook captures g3, queen captures g3, and knight to f5.
Oh, shit.
I will be an exchange down though, and a couple of pawns. But I feel like that's
Aren't
the
you
only
winning
way
back?
to go
Will
ahead
be
here.
an exchange down. Oh yeah, I can just take on f5. Okay. So time to look for tactics. There are none. There are some perpetual ideas.
Yeah, probably.
I have to take this. And maybe just drop back. So
Queen,
if I
Queen
take on
g5 looks
b3,
like
you
a
have
really good move here, Manmoth. You should do that.
queen g5?
Yes.
Yes. I agree. So if I take on b3, you have queen c8, king h7, queen f5, g6, queen takes f7, and perpetual. So I feel like I have to go back.
Probably a good move. So if Manmoth would have been greedy here and taken on b3, that might have become
That would
too
be a
much.
draw.
So I'm going to play queen to d7.
Yeah, so I was looking at queen b8, but that looks really passive.
Rook b8 is also looking quite alright. But
I like queen b8.
yeah. So a
Next
problem
move,
that
I'm
I
just
have
gonna
here.
chase away your queen.
Huh?
Next move, I just want to kick your queen away.
Yeah. And my idea was that I could maybe play knight to h4, but then you have queen to d8, attacking both my knight and my queen. And the only way to defend is queen to g4. And then probably you have queen to e7. You don't attack e2.
No.
Ah.
But I coordinate, so I should be winning. So maybe.
Okay, I'm going to bring my knight to d4.
Yep. So let us threaten the queen.
And now my only move is queen to d6 to keep in the game. Or stay in the game. Now queen g4 is quite interesting. Attacking a pawn on h5 and also my knight. Maybe I have ideas like knight f5 anyways though.
Yep.
It's at least a bit annoying.
I'm just gonna go here.
If I play my queen to f4, then queen f6. And if queen to
Knight
g3,
f5.
queen to g5. So I think that I will play queen to b4 maybe. Yes. So now if queen f6 check, I have to move my knight back to f3.
I'm thinking this is annoying.
Now queen f3 is out of the question because of queen to f6 check.
You mean queen c3?
Yeah, queen c3, sorry. Queen c3 is out of the question because of queen f6 check. And queen c5 meets b6. And then I have to capture with my knight on c6.
So queen d2, queen f6, knight f3 maybe?
And
I don't know.
Both in which are losing. So the only other possibility that I see is queen to d2.
Yep. Then I can probably win the pawn endgame. I don't know.
Yeah, so giving the rook for the knight back here still might be winning for black.
I think it is.
Because of queen f6. So I'm going to go king a e1 and give away my queen. But we're going to play this out. So he doesn't even have to take on f2, yeah.
Time to push.
So a big problem here is that if I push, well, the big problem is the C and D pawns, obviously, but I want to play b5, but it doesn't work because after these pawns move one step forward, the C and D pawns, if that is possible due to king to e4, then probably this king on e6 can capture on a4 and then b5. Then I lose two pawns for nothing. But the same with pawn capture c5. He still gets 2 pawns on the C and D file, and it's really, really hard to stop those.
I want to look through this game with the engine to see if I have had anything better.
Okay. But I'm playing b5. If I play e4 now, he's just going to push. So the big problem here for me. And if let's say I play g3, can you play d4? Then king e4, then c3.
c3.
Then I have to play king to d3, and this pawn on c3
e4
is really hard to prevent from getting anywhere. So I'm going to play king to e3 first, and hope he doesn't see king to e5. but he did. So now it's really hard for me to stop those pawns. So I'm going to go king to d2. Now black could probably just play king to f4 and g3, gobble up the g and h pawns, and that would be overwhelming. So I'm going to try one last thing, e3, but he saw it. So now king to c3, king to e4, and that is GG.
Yep.
So that was really
very interesting game.
Lots of ups and downs.
Ridiculously interesting game.
We should do this more often.
I'm just gonna go in and check quickly if I had anything good. It actually likes my position very much in the middle game, like on move 14.
So move 14.
Oh. Ah, yeah, of course. Yeah, so I was wondering why you didn't castle.
Me?
Like on move 21 or something.
Yeah.
The computer recommends that, but it's still worse for white. But
so here, instead of knight 2 to f3, they're just castling?
Yeah.
So
knight c4 is +5.
Yeah. So knight captures h5 was my big concern if I chose to castle.
Wow, it really likes queen to f5 on move 22. Attacking the knight and...
So instead of knight to e4, then queen to f5.
Yeah, knight to e4 is the second best move. They are both like +4.5.
Yeah. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the computer evaluation, is that 0.4 or no, not 0.4 but 4 point something is equal to 4 pawns in favor of either white or black, and in this case black. And 4 pawns is equal again to 1 pawn and 1 knight or a bishop, which is really, really strong. And it is certainly losing on almost every level, but especially in grandmaster play. Because in our type of play, we don't see that it's that hard to play on for first. For first.
For first.
I don't know what I was going to say there, but more importantly, we as just amateur players just try to we try to fight on, because we really hate losing as everyone else does, but we know that our opponents also can make mistakes, and on a grandmaster level that rarely happens.
So
although I've seen some terrible mistakes.
Not the best move. But
what?
It's still better for me after rook takes e3.
Yeah.
Computer is struggling. 2.28. I need to just pick up my phone. Just 2 minutes.
Sure, but I'm gonna end this video anyways. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please stay tuned for more videos like these. I hope it was as instructive to you guys as it was for us. It was really, really fun. So alright. So, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining us, Manmoth.
Thank you.
And be sure to check out his Twitch channel, Manmoth 1990.
The most active streamer ever.
Exactly. More active than me though in these days.
Really?
Yeah. But I'm gonna give a link to Manmoth's Twitch channel down below in the
and my Facebook if you wanna add me.
Manmoth 1990 on Facebook. All right. Have a good one. See you guys.
Okay.
Bye.